Yeah, so I guess I'm live with no one here, and we can get started. But I just wanted to change the wallpaper a bit. So just give me a couple of minutes, and then I will get started. Yeah, that's the idea. Hmm. Oh, the opening edge V1 Explorer. Do I have some nice photo that I can use in the background? Mhm. How about using this one? This one is a bit darker. Ah, yeah. So, yeah, let's get going. Let's get our terminal ready. This session, I think. Then we're good to go. So, once again, hello, my dear friends on the internet. Welcome to another live session where we're making a text editor. Right now, it's something like this, I think. It feels, yeah. So, I think there was some text. I don't know what did those texts go. But there were some texts, right? Yeah, let's get that fixed first. So let's open this and let's see. So we are doing all these things, but we have something called a renderer, right? Where might be I have done something which in turn is not allowed. Yeah. So I think no, we are enabling blend. Okay, then we are disabling that. So what could be the error that cause this? Clearly, um, let's see. Hmm. Let's say we don't mask. Right. What is the consequence of it? I don't see anything. Right. Probably. So, yeah, blending. We say we build. Right. We get rendering zero sprites. Right. So we're not rendering any sprite. Okay. So here, yeah. So we should be f equals to right. And now we should get some text rendered. Right. Is that looking blocky? Or that thing you can easily fix, right? You can go to the uh, renderer. And first of all, like um, so first of all, we can delete this printf, right? We don't need every frame spanning. And the second thing is that we need to in the shader, right? We had commented the last line, so that thing we had to take off. I'm guessing I'm live. No one is here. That's fine. So now, if we build this, we should get to the point where we last stay with, which is this. All right, let's go and find everything. Um, we can render sprites, and we can render fonts, like font sprites. But that's it. We don't have anything else. We don't have like any kind of UI elements that we can interact with. So yeah, we'll be building towards that today, and also in that process we'll be like doing some stuff, organizing some the code a bit. So yeah, we can get into that. I'm thinking as to how should I do it. One thing I believe, we need to organize the files a bit. Right? We need to have some additional files. We will have a lot of additional files, but for now, right? We need to have some additional files. So we can go towards that. So in the source, we can have our utils, right? For our utility functions, to have some place to belong. Right? And it still don't like vector. I don't know why, but that's fine. We'll figure it out. Mm, if needed, we'll not use vector because I don't know. Like Clang is reporting that the vector library that it has is like it's it's asking for like a better Clang library, like Clang version 19. But for Windows, I think the version that is currently available is 18. They're kind of stuck, but that's fine. We can do something about it. They're not generally errors, so it should be fine. Mm. So yeah, the second thing that we need is stdio.h, right? And this utility we can fill up with all the files, right? So that is one thing. The second thing is that maybe I want to create something like a UI, right? So maybe a UI header file. So with UI related definitions and other things I can have. For example, this thing, right? This thing can clearly belong to the utility, and we can have chrono, right? Like that. And this will be static, I think. Yeah. Also from main, we can take this function away as well, right? As we might use this at multiple places. So in the UI, we can not in the utils, we can have this function as well. Okay, right. Instead of this, we can say simply right. What you can do, and also this can be marked as static. And here it's complaining for unsafe. So in most of these cases, there is a self implementation that the compiler wants you to use the modern compilers, right? In case of string, it's something like this, I guess. if you can underscore s. No matching signature. Okay, so we have if you can underscore s. It takes a stream, right? The address of s and the fee, right? So yeah, what's it? Now that we have this, we can just remove these lines, and we can have something like um this dot HTTP, I guess. This line can go just below. And yeah, this is the first thing. So with that, these are now SP, right? Inside SP namespace. So that will be a quick fix. Yeah, that is fixed. And as you can see, like this error that is coming from is that from factor actually. If I go inside, it's asking for Clang 19, but Clang 19 is not there for Windows 8, I think. Yeah, I'll fix that later. Oh, but that's not that big of a issue, except that this small line pass is here. Maybe at some point of time when our editor is good enough, we can use our editor to write our own editor. That will be a nice goal to have. But yeah. Also, in the render, right, we have utils. These are for like general utility. You can also have, for example, something like a render utils, right? Well, like rendering related stuff, some kind of a little bit of organization. Just going along, I don't have a good plan as to what I'm supposed to do. So you can think of it kind of like vibe refactoring, if you want to call it that way. Right. So I think in the render utils, we might want to have this and also this and also this things. So these basic definitions, I would rather like that they're part of render utils. Yeah. And so there's the headphone fell off. So we need to get the includes as well. Right. So we just grab the includes, I think. Right. And paste it right here. So right now it's not using system. Okay. We'll use printf for this stuff, right? So um, that should be good enough. Yes. For that we need stdio that we can have. Yeah. So one is gone. The second one. So yeah, this one is also gone. Then comes this one. So yeah, this one is also gone. We can select something like static, and we need the font file as well. Yes. So render it can directly include font and give us this nice things. We have these two static functions, one for creating texture, one for creating shader. And right now this is just one channel texture, right? So in the font also will change, but yeah, we first just get the reorganization a bit. We'll check if everything is compiling. Then we can move forward from here. So yeah, in the UI also we might want something like pragma once. And yeah, so now in the renderer, right? Now in the renderer, we don't need this stuff. We don't need any of this stuff. We don't need font. Uh, all we need is, I think, render utils. Yeah. So that's all we need, and we would like to have it here after the resources. And here we have the other libraries that we are importing. So now vec4 should be known, right? Because vec4 is part of render utils. That we have to check once. We can go to render utils and check. So yeah, we have this structs, right? Which namespace this is under? This is under SP namespace. So that is right. Ideally, it should pick up. I don't know why it didn't. And we have render utils here. So if I should not need to say SP colon colon, right? It should auto infer that this is from SP namespace because like, everything here is inside SP, right? So it should not complain. So one thing I will do, I will quickly just close everything up. So yeah, we have some unsaved files we need to save. But with that, we go to let's say render it. So yeah, there is no issue. We can pick things up, right? Yeah. So maybe like I should configure a lower config and like properly get this set for later. But that's for some other time. Now if we just try to build and see if it gets compiled, the answer is yes, it gets compiled. Right. So now so think first right now like everything is happening in our renderer, right? Everything is happening in this giant code block, which is fine. We don't have that much to do anyway. We'll have later, not right now. And is there no music playing? There is some kind of silence. Yeah, that feels good. So with that I think we can start with fleshing out some details. For example, like right now everything is being rendered at render, right? But ideally there should be some stages on it. So for example, we need some initialization before rendering. We can call it begin, for example, or begin pass, something like that, right? And similarly, we can have an end pass, right? So yes, so let's get the code. So in the begin first, first of all, we'll check if the setup program exists, right? So that part goes into begin pass, right? So if share a program, then GLU setup program, right? And also, yeah, we can check those things later. Right now, I don't. Okay, we will get into those eventually, but that is the idea. And then there are those render commands which will basically take UI and do stuff. That's the idea. So let's start with defining our basic UI and everything, right? So yeah. So what we can do is we can have something like I have written this UI, but can there's an edit option. So yeah, let UI be there. Let's create another file. We'll call this something like editor, right? So maybe which basically contains our editor, something like that. Can spread this a bit. Today I don't think much people are there, but that's fine. Namespace sp. Yeah. So what is our editor, right? So if we say that we have our editor data, right? So what does our editor have? For example, it will have something like where the people could edit the text, right? So something like you can call it it's it's edit panel, or we'll change this name. I don't like this name that much. But the members that it should have, right? First of all, the file path, right? So maybe we'll use string here. We will see. So and yeah, include header string is not used directly. Yeah. What do you think I'm doing here? Oh, so file path, the file it's supposed to access, right? So and now it will contain this thing. Okay. Yeah. So standard headers are a bit messed up. One second, if we use some other version, right? OpenGL. Yeah. We'll change this to 17. Right. Mm, Then I go to editor. Will it still complain about C? Yeah, it does. Then that's it. So we have this file path, right? And then it will essentially have the contents, right? So that's what I'm thinking. Should the contents be here? Yeah. So we can do that. We can have just, in- like a basic content buffer for now. File content, right? Which is basically storing the file content. We can use different buffers later. Right now. And maybe we want to have some basic metadata, like for example, and cursor position. Right? So that we can have later. But essentially, how many bytes are there in the file? We can think of it like this. So let's say std sorry size characters. Right? So that might be one aspect of it, right? And we might have a like small void in it, right? Or bool in it to know if we were successful doing it. I edited, right? So, and we can also have bool is saved. For now, it's false. We have not saved anything for now, at least. So yeah, then we can have the path, right? Based on that, we can init, right? If everything is initted correctly, we can return true, for example. So let's open our utils. Source slash utils, right? Yeah, UI is what I wanted. So utils, I guess. Yeah. So this function currently is returning only the string, right? But essentially, it can also give me this file size, right? So what it can return is the file size as well. So I was thinking we can give this thing here, uh, like and then can bring it this. So this function I think right now is being used only at main, right? So we can go to main, for example, and inside main, the window is can have like and then you can pass it here, right? Like this. Yeah, like this. But it wants a long. I don't like long that much, so we'll just say size t, I guess, if that makes any sense. So this one should also be size t. Size t is basically the biggest unordered integer in most cases. Even 64 underscore t is size t, basically. Yeah. So that we know that have that or like editor dot HTTP. So here, now the first thing we can do is we can include our utils, right, dot HTTP. So I think it's called utils. In yeah. So now the problem is that due to this it'll get done some time later. Right now it doesn't bother except that giving this line. Yeah. So file path is clearly this. Right? Like we are copying essentially this character buffer into file path. And as far as the file content, it's just the characters that we have built, right? So yeah. So yeah. Mm, and we can call it like text edits text edit dot yeah, like okay, let's I don't like this name actually. Yeah, but this is good, right? And still we don't have done any edit, right? So in this case, if the file content is not there, we can simply return false. We can do that later. But also we can say that each saved equals to true because yeah, we have this data saved somehow, and that's for the initialization, right? Of this thing. And this thing, right? Um, editor can have a vector like so vector, which will throw some errors, but we are happy to get those errors. And we'll have these files, right? So how we can call it them text edits, right? and we can have something like the current editor, right? So active editor, right? So based on that, we'll get the status of the active editor maybe. So let's try to just do that, right? Let's try to do that. So so slash. I think there will be a very small session, but you can see like I'm still planning in this stage, so I'm not sure what I will go with. Like, uh, but I want to keep things a bit open-ended, right? At some point of time, this thing is going to take a editor, right? Yeah. So maybe that's the most unintuitive name. But we can live with the guilt. We have always lived with the guilt, and that has, I don't know, maybe made us happy, made us sad, maybe made us nothing. But the idea is we'll have something like void render where we will basically take the editor. So editor underscore p reference editor maybe, right? And what this will do is this will take care of pushing those sprites. So in the begin pass actually we would like to have the sprites clear, I guess. Because in begin pass we don't have any sprites. And if only we have something like clear sprites, which is by default true for now, right? Later we can take a config for the beginning pass, and based on that we can do. Well, we don't essentially always want to clear the sprites in future, right? So that is one thing. The second thing is that we want to set these flags, right? But we can do that as at like end pass at as well, right? But one thing that we would probably do is no matter what is doing this, right? It's not this, but like clearing the buffers, right? So that's one thing that we would probably do in the begin pass, right? And let's get with this editor, right? So the first UI that or essentially what the flow should be is that we have this editor from which like which basically is the data state. Like this thing is the data state only. From this the data state we can create different UIs, right? So that will be one approach, and then those UIs can be submitted. This is more like submit, we can think. So we don't submit this editor, right, to the renderer. What we essentially submit are the different UIs to this editor. We can get those UIs from this editor. That will be a nice approach, I think, and we can strive for that to have a like small text edit UI, for example. Right. So let's do that. Let's try to get that out first. Then maybe we can just scroll, and with that text edit UI we can just have like basically done. Yeah. So you mean SMT like VS Code? I don't understand. What do you mean by SMT? What do you mean by SMT? Well, you are gone, I think. So yeah, we'll never know that. Are you there? Uh, are you there? Yeah, actually there are four people. So I don't quite get the point. Like You mean SMT like VS Code? What do you mean? Uh, so apart from that, um, let's get the like I'm still thinking like I want to get the basic like UI framework, but I don't want like one of the easiest way to get the UI will be like having inheritance, right? And there is nothing wrong with inheritance except that you have to like do some table lookup and all those stuff when we're like, getting the functions. But I want to keep this simple. Like I don't want to make a something bloated. Like I don't want to create a full-fledged HTML renderer in order to just render my editor. If I do that, then essentially like that will be same as what VS Code is doing, right? It's using electrons. So yeah, I'm going in C because in C I can cut corners. Right? So yeah, so let's start with our basic UI elements, right? So SP is our namespace. So stream delay, I guess. Yeah, maybe there is some stream delay. Like my internet is, I will not say that very top quality, but it's good enough, right? I, let's see. So the first thing that I want to render probably is a like bar, which will say that like bottom bar, which will say that these many characters are in this file, right? So maybe that will be a good starting point, right? So paste our UI, like what you're doing. We can have something like u underscore UI underscore status bar, right? So this is our status bar UI element basically, and we can have this status bar element is this is one way of doing it, and this is completely fine, right? But like I don't want a situation where I'm copying data again and again and again to different stages, right? So like for example, the status bar, right? So essentially a UI status bar, right, is derived from the text edit key, right? Current text edit key. So something like that. So maybe we will our editor like, will have this these UIs, right? And maybe it can return these UIs, but I'm not completely sure about how we go about it. Ah, yeah. That being said, basically any UI element, right? At the end, what does it return? It returns a, group of sprites, right? So for a status bar, what is more important, right? So like for a like, do we call this different, or we can just use this data as well, right? Because like, nobody's stopping us to use these data, like these for the UI, right? Similar way. So yeah, so most likely we'll have some width maybe. Um, so yeah, I get no. It will be better to create the vector there. Otherwise, like if this is going to return the vector, in that case, that vector is still needs to be copied, right? And I don't want to have too much copying going on everywhere, right? So I don't want a hierarchy of things where like things are getting copied, and copied. So rather, what I would like to have in the UI status bar is something like let's go along and let's do it later. So we'll have something like a left text, right? It's saying. So we can go that. And yeah, I get I think I have some idea as to what to do. So it has left text, right? then it has some like right text. Let's say there's these two things, and also it has something like a height exactly. So something like 0.1 for now, which is too big, I think. So 0.05, something like that. And essentially, what we want is in the editor we can have the UI, right? Like that. Here we can basically ask the editor to return us the UI, right? So for example, we can have first of all init, which will not do anything at least for now. But we can, it can do something later. What we can have is that void open existing file, right? This we can do, right? And it can take a constructor file path, right? So what it will do is essentially it will create an text edit, right? Don't do this. Um, that is one way. Another way is that we can just simply say text edit stuff pushback, create a new text edit, right? Um, in the back, and then just text edit. You can take a reference, right? We can use auto, right? It's small auto reference edit is equals to this, right? And now that we have this edit, right? So it's saying that pushback it should have default values. Like it has these default values, right? It should be able to. I don't think that it should not. Um, so let's get that. The matching memory function call for pushback only. Acha, okay. So in pushback, I need to put some empty text edit, right? So we can do something like that. Or we can simply do emplace back, right? So emplace back takes the arguments. So we can say that emplace back, right? And here I think we don't need to pass anything because by default it will emplace back. Now that we have this edit, right? We can initialize this edit, right? And once this edit is initialized, right? So I have this. Else, what we can basically do is we can pop the last text edit. So that's why we can open an existing file, right? And similarly, we can ask for let's say UI status bar. So get UI status bar, and this will essentially return me this UI status bar, right? So first things first, this is correct, right? So based on that, our right text might be saved or unsaved, right? And left text can be the file path, but I rather want it to be like the character count, right? STD. Um, we will have some kind of yeah, but for now, let's say STD string characters plus this thing, right? I don't want the file path just right now. We'll do that later. Yeah, so that's good. This gives me the UI status bar, right? And now we can have something like we can only have this definition, but we can also have the functionality written here. So but we don't want to use like have circular includes. So it's probably makes sense to like for example have I don't know what is this. Oh, this is true type, but we want a renderer, right? So maybe this definition this definition of sprite, and this creates sprite text. This definition of sprite might go into and create sprite text. Both go into render utils, I guess, right? Something like that. So today we'll be moving a bit of code uh, so that in future it will be easier for us to write and maintain things. So besides Vec 3 and Vec 4, we have this guy, right? Right. And then we have create text, right? Which basically takes the text, font, and everything. And based on that, we can actually create a sprite. So this render utils we can import in editor, I think. So I mean in UI. So you can say UI here, and here we can include render utils. So hash include, if I can spell correctly, render utils, right? So that we have this render utils, this beautiful guy. Don't know if he's a guy or a cow, but yeah. So basically what I want is I can have something like void push, like create rights or push rights, which will do the heavy lifting for us. The push rights, this will essentially take all the references, and this will inject the sprites accordingly. That's the idea, right? So obviously it will take a vector, right? Whatever it has done, we can verify it. But in general, it will take a vector. It will take a font, and will take the screen width and screen height. We can later like have something like a render state, and then we can refer to that. But right now that is fine. So yeah. So we have the left sprites, right? So yeah, let's just get things simple for now, right? So let's just show the. So we know that our Y position, right? Because currently our screen is not like aspect ratio is correct, which we can get it done later. Um, but now currently we can say that our Y starts at here, like one minus height, right? And it goes up to the high. So maybe the easiest thing will be so this is create text, right? You can have something like different types of stripes, right? For example, mm, static, create right? Which is definitely going to create a rectangle, right? So we have float x, float y, basically, and then we have width and height, and then we might have the color, right? Which we are not like we are not going to use float colors in future. We will use something like RGB. So this basically gives me a rectangle, right? So you can create a sprite here. Right? So yeah, and then you can set the different properties, right? So yeah, those are all correct. Its a can always be like 1.0, for example, right? And then you can return the sprite. now we have that distinction that this is a kind of rectangle sprite, right? So for rectangle sprites, right, the type, the type of the sprite should be so in the data, right? The first one is type. So we can have the meta, some kind of metadata, right? Data field, so that we don't forget, right? So first is the type. The second is the text ID. Right. For now, we care about these two fields, right? So if type is equals to 0, that means it's a rectangle, right? And if type equals to 1, then that is a text. That is the convention we are going with. So we'll just say that sprite dot data dot x is equals to 0, right? Or we can simply have something like and these are floats, so it's fine. 0, 0, that's right. Just sending floats, that's fine. And the text is like 0.1 f, right? So now every time I'm doing this, right, basically here you can say that this is sprite type text, right? Exactly. And for all these sprites, right, you can say that there dot data dot x is sprite type text, right? So now we have different rects, right? So this is y, right? And we might have some padding, but we can think of it later, right? The x is essentially 0, and we will go till the screen width, right? That's the idea. We will go till the 0 to screen width. So basically our sprite that push back, right? And we can have a like something like sp create trip sprite, right? Where the x and y is this, right? Which is correct, and its width is 1, height is obviously height, right? And then we have this color, right, which is I think some gray kind of color. So for now let's make it red, and then we will lament on our choices later with follow basic, because we can, right? So that's the first thing that it will push, right? The rectangle where it wants to draw, but as well as it wants to have some for now that's fine. So okay, so float ex is like padding, right? Float tw is like width minus 2 times padding. Yeah. So with that and it's LOAT if I can spell it correct. Right. Similarly, we can have like EY, which is just y plus padding, and we can have our float E height, which is this, right? And we have no width because it's called U. Uh, uh, okay, because it's called screen width, right? Something like that. So similarly, float EY is something that I don't think we need right now. We'll check that. So we can have a sprites that push. Like, we can have this left sprites, right? Which is basically the left text, render with this font, right? At this location, right? And we are giving this amount of space to be drawn, right? So it's basically like you can just have TW, right? Where is the issue? We can see that later, but we can use the full. We're not rendering the right part just right now. Hopefully, with that we can copy simply for uh, yeah. So sprite dot rect, screen width, screen height, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Wait, I don't care. All I care, wait, we will care later. All we care right now is just pushing those sprites in the most unorthodox way. Even you can just do a simple meme copy from here to there. But that's fine. That's all about like getting the sprites in, right, from the UI status bar. And from here, essentially, in the render utils, we have these functions, right, which will take care of submitting those sprites, right. So most likely this one should also be a static, right. And in any time we want, we can just take the array as reference, like this vector as reference as the argument here. And instead of returning the sprites, we can directly push into that array, right? So we can do those optimizations later. Right now, we have this editor, right? If I can spell correctly, and this editor is supposed to return me this UI bar, right? So the editor will first open the file. Once it has opened the file, then I can ask it to return the UI bar, which in which case it will basically put the active text edit, right? And then it will create a UI status bar. It will put the left text as this, that these many characters are there. And right now we don't have any right text, and it will set the status bar side, right? But most important thing is that it will return me a UI status bar, right? So UI underscore status bar underscore p. This is what it's supposed to return, right? Later it can also be a reference, right? So that's how we can do small changes, right? Um, so yeah. So in case the editor does not have any tab open, right? It will not have UI status bar. So maybe, just maybe, we can use some old way of doing this, right? We can have like for example simply this, like, but I don't like that approach, right? Only the functions returns true and false in this. And I don't want to allocate memory for this small thing. I want heap to manage it, but somehow I want to respect this thing as well, right? So the easiest thing that I can think of right now, right, is that basically written an empty thing where there is no text, right? Otherwise we create this status bar and we return this, right? So with that, what we can do essentially is in our main, right, we can now organize our code a bit. So for example, we can have our editor, like after we have this form, we can have our editor. Mm. So for a few iterations, like for a few iterations, it might look like a regression, but then we'll get things in a good way, I guess. So yeah, Parish include editor. Why not? So now that we have our editor, right, editor, editor. That's what it's called. It's called editor. Mhm. So first of all, you can initialize our editor. Did you mean SP editor? Oh yeah, here the SP namespace is not declared. That's valid. And next, this file we were loading, right? We remember somewhere we are loading that main file. We can load it here, and later we can take it from. But right now we don't care about this part anymore. But this text, right? Right, we are seeing this. So we have this load file thing. That's going on here. So we can completely remove these things. We can get things very elegant, at least. So yeah, that we can do now. But for now, I just do open existing file, and we don't have any text.exe, but what we have is source slash main.cpp, right? This file we have. So this will essentially open the editor file, right? And then we have you have all these things that is being done that we don't care about, like to this up until this part we don't care, right? But this rendering strategy is going to change. We'll have something like, first of all, we can have like render dot begin pass, right? Where we are essentially cleaning it. Then maybe render dot submit. We can submit editor, right? Um, but right now, let's just submit the bar, right? Because why not? We can, so we will, and we can import that there, and we can go from there. So we can say basically editor dot get status bar, right? Which will give us the status bar data, and we can submit that data. Once that status bar data is there, then we can say renderer dot end pass, right? We will basically complete our rendering for this um, status bar, right? So now what we need to do is we need to support the status bar. Yeah. So this is the status bar UI, right? So in the renderer itself, we can add support for the status bar, right? And we can also modify this. So we are not doing this. So end pass is literally this, right? End pass is literally this. For now, we will change it later. But ideally, end pass is literally this. Right? So yeah, we can also clear color in the end pass. No problem. Because in the end pass, we are essentially doing all our drawing. So yeah, in the end pass, we are doing all our drawing. Right. In the begin pass, we are just basically like in every submit we draw. That is one way of doing it. Right. In every submit we can draw, but we can check that later. Right now, our system is not that um like we can start by easy, and we can go in difficult route when needed. So right now, when the pass begins, right, we are clearing the things, and when the pass ends, we are ending the things, right? So the submit is actually including editor. So in a sense, it's already including the UI, right? You can just say that it can also take a UI status bar. That is status bar, right? And then it can it can get the sprites, right? And we can like push sprite already takes the vector, right? So we can just say status bar, because it does not return, right? So bar dot push sprites, right? Where I'm taking the sprites, and right now our like width and height is just one. right, right now, which will change later. But for now, I think that's what we have. So with that, and with the hope of like everything breaking apart, right? So the problem is that is easy to fix, right? So what it's complaining about is that this difference needs to exist first, but you can make it const, saying that we're never going to fetch your things or modify it anyway, and that error will be gone, right? So this should spectacularly fail or show us something. So I don't know, but you can build and we can check, right? And it failed most likely. Um, so that's about it. We'll check for the errors a bit later, or right now. But yeah, we can just close the editor maybe, and we can try building. So this is the old one, right? This code we had already removed, and somewhere in between here we get all this error, right? So in the renderer it should be 173, right? We are getting this error basically, which is saying that why this cannot convert this pointer from this to this, right? Uh, uh, okay, and that's very interesting. But yeah, I understand your pain. So basically, you are saying that whatever data this data I'm submitting, right? This is a const UI. So I don't get the point, right? So because this renderer submit, right? If anybody has any session, they can take and show this. But this renderer is right, right? So we have this renderer, right? And this renderer is essentially taking a constant sprite bar, right? Reference status bar, and then it is calling push right on that. Now push right should never modify the state. Is that's the problem. So this argument to member function push sprites has type const, but the function is not marked as const. Okay. So what if we go to UI, right, and we say that you are from display constant like, right? So this essentially gets rid of that error, right? So I should have marked it as const, but you have something going on in the bottom, so we are not completely off mark, right? We are once again back to doing stuff. So, so first things first, just let me drink some water and take a very short break. Then we'll get started from there. Yeah, we need to clearly tell our like, renderer here. mm, what do I say? Like, we need to clearly tell our shaders to treat two kinds of data differently: the text data and the quad data. Maybe. So let's just try to do that. So we have this instance data, right? Right. So we have this flag data, right? And now this thing is done when flag data.x is this, right? So it's less than, let's say, something like 0.01, right? In that case, we want to do this stuff for our fragment data. Probably you should load it from a file, but some point we will do. Right now, I don't care. Maintenance here. So that means that is good is greater than, let's say, 0.01, but is less than. This is like is greater than, like, for example, is less than, let's say, 1.01, right? Then we are essentially rendering our text, right? A small note for us. So this is text, not texture. Don't try to be over smart, Mr. Whatever. And if it's 0, that means we're essentially rendering our rect, right? So that's correct. This should be else if, because this is a continuous flow. And right now this should differentiate, right? So this is render, not render. So we have two kinds of rendering. What one is that we are rendering a something, and then we are rendering something else. So with that only, if we build, we don't get anything, but our code compiled, right? So maybe we encountered some error. We don't know. Maybe we'll just build by our hand and we'll see like this. Right. So yeah, let's just focus on the taint first. So let's just in the render itself, like we can check that how many sprites we're actually printing to the screen. We're drawing, right? And we're calling the end pass, right? So you can say that printf rendering these many sprites. Right? So that will be a good way to check that we're submitting some sprites, right? So we're submitting 11 sprites. Let's just submit one sprite first. And from there we can get our glory back, right? So maybe we can go to the UI, right? Status bar. So yeah, in the UI. So for now, let's comment these things. Forget the command for commenting stuffs in Vim. We can check that out later. But yeah, so right now we are only pushing this one sprite, right, which is at this position. We can also print the y, or we can put simply 0 0 so that we know that it's being rendered, and it's supposed to be rendered with this color, this RGBA color, right? Yeah, so we can check. So right now that thing is not showing up. Don't know why. Mm, so in the render resources, right, we're getting the instance data. We have all these things. Right? So this frag data.x, right, is going to be fragged in. So if we just um let's just for now let's just delete this thing, right? And let's just render just to see if something is being rendered. So yeah, this is coming, right? You can get back this thing, right? This f is less than 0, and if this x is less than this, then I do this, right? That's good. Let's open our UI in the right side. So yeah, we are pushing sprites, right? And we can look into this sprite class, right? So here you're basically pushing xy and these values, right? Width and height. This is width and this is height. This is x and this is y, right? Mm, so why doesn't it write width here? That is one question that we need to answer. But also that flag, right? That flag is somehow not being set. So maybe we'll go to render it and we'll check. So in the renderer, right? We're just submitting it. And that's it. And that submit is going. Otherwise, we would not see anything there. So the question is here in the render utils. Right? We can look at this thing. So we know that for sprite type rect it should be this, and for sprite type text it should be this, right? And this data field essentially maintains that information. Right? And here we are setting the width and height, right? XY width and height, RGBA, like this, and then we're saying that this is sprite type rect, which in essence is 0, and sprite type this is 1. So it's getting rect, I guess. So one thing that will be interesting to check is, instead of this 10, what if we just pass vec4 1.0 and 0.0 and 1, right? So essentially for rectangle we want to see red. That's what we are saying here, right? So if we just say that, for example, and I just thought of something. Yeah, we will probably not render everything in the end pass. whether in every pass we will render, like every small push will render, maybe that you can check. It's a bit of work, but that you can do. First things first, let's run this bad boy, and surprisingly, we get this status bar, right? And ideally, like in the UI, right, we can set this back to Y just to check that it's coming correctly. So yeah, it's at the bottom, right? Bro, how are you customizing? Which editor are you using? Oh, sorry, bro. Like for a long time nobody was chatting, so I didn't see. So yeah, I'm using Windows actually. Like eventually we'll do it for Linux as well. Maybe I'll need to use some VirtualBox. I initially started with using Ubuntu in WSL, but the problem is that in WSL it just didn't work out. The WSL drivers are not good enough. It was not like working with, and we were using SDL, so we were using a very popular library, but it was not picking things up. So right now we are using Windows only, and yeah, is using Qt much easier. Yeah, like there are a lot of options. Like I could just use JavaScript and HTML as well with Electron, right? The idea is to just explore stuff, do things a bit lower. I will not say that we're doing everything by hand. We're not, for example, like parsing the text file by hand. But yeah, like it's an exploration kind of thing. So you have to give in. The problem is, what I am saying is that this stint, right? This instance stint, this is passed as fragmented here, right? But this fragmented is coming here. But when you are trying to render this fragmented instead of this color, right? So that is where it's failing essentially. So when you're saying that use this fragmented instead for the color, it's failing. And the reason may be due to the layout. That is my assumption. So we can go there. We can maybe go to our original renderer, which will be modified drastically after some time, and we can check. All right. So we are giving the rec. So first things first is the location, right? So the location P is for color, which is correct, and which is taking a vec3, which is also correct, right? It's taking GL floats. It is reading from sprite the color, right? We're giving that offset. This offset is correct, and we are subdividing it. So ideally this is correct, right? Ideally this is correct. This is for color, right? This color right here. And then we have crop, and crop we have already tested that crop is totally fine. So why is the print not coming as you want, right? And this value is also coming correct. So let's say we want to just use something like fractin.xyz vec3. But we have a vec4, but here we want to use only the xyz value of fractin. And maybe for the last color, for now, we want it to be completely opaque for a better lack of term. But still, we don't see any color. or we see a black color, right? So the XYZ, these three values are coming as black, right? So this color is not being supplied. The question is why? Because here clearly we're saying that color data is here, right? And this seems correct. So maybe in the UI itself we have some thing done. I mean in the create this thing, right? So yeah, we can create something like a I don't know C tag minus r dot something like that. Forward. Okay, I will check that later. But with that, I have C tag installed, so I can basically get the tags and then I can jump around functions. For now, I know that it's in render details, right? So from there we can check, right? So we're not interested in this one. We're interested in this one, and it is supposed to take the RGBA, right? And it is supposed to set the color, right? We are setting the red. So in the color setting, what is the issue? So we just want to print and see like what color is being set, right? So we print it, right? Color is this, right? And yeah, we can simply run this and we can close this, right? And you get that we are getting sprite color as this. Okay, so 1.0 and then 0.1, 0.1, and 1.0. So this is good actually. This is the correct value. We're doing some silly mistake. Mm, that is making us not see the color. Maybe it's about time we upload the colors with him. But I just first want to get it done. Then maybe we, we can fix things up. So here we're clearly submitting the status bar, right? We're beginning the rendering and we're submitting the status bar and this, and everything is working except that it's not taking the color, right? So for example, what I'm trying to say is that if we go to let's say our shaders, right? If we go to our shaders and in the shaders, if we use something else, for example, if we just use, for example, frag UV or something else, right? Then that is coming in the right way. But frag fin is coming completely black for some reason. The flag fin is not reflecting, and I don't understand why. Because we have this instance data at location. No, the flag tint is instant tint, and this is here, right? So we are clearly at least passing it to the fragment shader as outback for frag tint, and here as index for frag tint we are also getting it, right? And we're just trying to say that this is the data that you need to render, but somehow it's getting this as black, but like all these values are zeros. But ideally this value is 1 and this value is like 0.1 or something like that, right? It's not 0. So I'm trying to find out what is the issue, right? So we have these 4 components in our sprite, right? And all those 4 components we are actually registering, right? For example, these 2 are for the like the vertex buffer, right? And then these 4 are essentially for the sprite instance data. Maybe we can add as enter here to make this more clear. And from third index, for the second index, it's getting the rect correctly. It's not getting the tint correctly, right? Uh, Here, it's not getting the tint correctly. The instance tint. So what did I do that is not reading this data correctly? Because um, if we look at our yeah, right, in our shader, everything looks fine. Just let's make sure that we have this pen, and then we have this out pin, right? And here we are basically setting frag data to this instance data, frag tin to this instance tin, right? That's all we're doing about instance. And here we are basically importing that rec4, that instant pin. Like in this data, I don't think like there is some kind of restriction that says that you have to be like this kind of byte aligned, as far as I know. Right? We can force byte alignment, but I don't think that is the issue. But then we have this final color which is backprint.xyz, and this is the same print as this. So why is it not working? I'm missing something very silly, and I need to figure it out also. Alright. So yeah, we are basically we're right now doing this part only, where we are pushing the RGB, right, and XY and width height. XY and width height are coming properly. This RGB value, which then it comes in the like create sprite. Right? So we go to, for example, render resources, right? Not render resources, but render utils, right? If you go to render utils, right, and we have our sprite here, and then we have this create rect sprite, which creates a rectangle sprite. Right? So first thing it does this is it's setting this. Next thing it's setting the color, right? So and also when we are printing, we're getting the correct color. Hence, why is it coming as red? That is a interesting question to think. So, like for example, we are returning this sprite only, right? From here, right? And then this sprite is essentially getting pushed back, the same sprite in this sprite cell. Okay. Because this is it's returning a sprite, and it's not that. Okay, let's check one thing. Is that incorrect coming correctly, right? Like is the like crop coming correctly? So if we just use like let's say, so it should be like 0 0 then blue, right? 1 1. So something like that. So if we just look at frag UV, for example, right? And then maybe 0.0 for the blue channel and 1.0. If we just build that itself, so frag UV is coming already, right? But the color itself is coming as black. Why is that? This flat tint is messed up. And I don't think it's due to data packing issue, right? For example, if it's due to data packing issue and I change this order, then some kind of weird artifact should occur. You should not get the same thing. You're getting the same thing. So clearly, it's not due to that. But one interesting thing is but now we can use that color and ignore it. But I don't want to do that. So let's say if I hard code this, something like this, right? I just hard code it. It's bright color. What is its issue with the color? Like it's just like everything else. So this is working. This is working. These two are working. This one is working. This data is correct, coming correct, and here this condition is saying that. So why this guy alone is not coming correct? Right. That is the question here. We have this color vector, like it's defined the same way, right? But it's coming as all zeros, right? Whereas like four consecutive zeros are not even there except this data, right? Except this data. So one thing I'm curious now that this like has something, right? This shows something, although it's not correct. We can have like a very smaller tint, right? For example, 0.01, 0.1, and then the rest is 0.0, I guess. Right? So maybe a dark red kind of. Well, it's not dark red enough, but that's fine. You can have like this is 0.5, for example, for the rectangle. We should now get me something like a dark red, something like this. Right? And on top of that, we can go to the UI, and we can try to render the text actually, right? This part which you have commented. So if I just remove this comment, we'll, we'll look into the color part as well. It's a simple bug, but right now my eyes are unable to catch it. If you can see it, then you can obviously tell me. But yeah, this is not correct as well for some reason. Like if I am just printing the spread, like if I'm not pushing this thing, right? If I'm not pushing this thing, yeah, this is the most ugliest type of commenting you will see. Our goal is to understand the problem, right? We're getting these blocks in the red color. Whereas we have really checked this before that it worked. Okay, now I'm getting confused. But we're creating text sprites, right? So text sprites should be text, right? So it should trigger this. Right? Else if frag data.x is less than 1.7, yeah. So most likely we are getting some bad data. I always wanted to do this project, but I did not have enough time. Yeah, me too. Like that's why I started doing this project. But I don't think like today is a good like like sometimes you are not in your optimal state of doing it. I just woke up from a sleep and I'm not getting this CG error, but somewhere it is doing something that I don't want it to do, but it's doing that either way. And we need to fix that thing. So one thing will be, are you writing your own renderer? Yeah, like I'm writing my own renderer. We have like created a renderer where we have like we can render text, right? The problem is that it's not working correctly for some reason. Like if I can remove this, like I can show you. Right? So we have text rendering going on actually. And we're doing some SDF rendering. We are using normal OpenGL because like anything else will be like overkill for this. Um, yeah. So we just do this, right? You can see that. Why is this still block? Yeah. Are we failing at compilation somewhere? Because right now I don't have any check. Um, where does this now all of a sudden? Where does this like red color comes? That is another question. What happened to this sample tests? Somewhere we are doing something that we shouldn't. It's not saved. Okay, let's save this guy. And I don't think. But yeah, so you can see like we are creating this, right? But so we have text rendering also. But somehow the data is coming corrupted, right? For example, this final color, right? In this final color also, I can just be able to use the tint, whatever tint is there. It's white, right? Normally the tint. But as soon as I do that, what do you see? Like, I haven't done that. Maybe that will give me the hint. You see this blank, right? Basically, basically all the four values of frag tint are coming as zeros, right? Hi, which C++ GUI are you using? No, we are just using normal OpenGL, man. Like we are, for example, if you see, like, we have not progressed so far, but a good thing that we have done is that we have loaded the fonts, right? At least a few characters. We have created a font loading where we are using basically this library, STB2 type, and we are creating an font atlas, right? And from that, basically we are squeezing every font data in just one image. Sure. And then we have like we're still chiseling thing out, but then we have a like instance renderer which basically has one sprite and has like which basically has one rectangle data, which is this, and then it has something called as a like it has this attributes which is basically instance data that you can update every frame. That is the idea. And here we are basically submitting those sprites, right? So we have created the status bar and we're submitting. So basically, when beginning we are clearing everything out, the sprites, the vector where we are storing all our sprites, we're clearing the screen, and then once everything is submitted, then we in the end pass we are basically uh, drawing out all the sprites in a instance way, right? That's what we are doing. But I'll change this a bit. I'll be like drawing one part at a time. That means that when I submit this sprite bar, like this status bar, after the status bar is submitted, I will render that status bar. I'm going Qt, maybe lives you, I don't know. One I need to use. So here is the quickest way to get things get things done, I think. Yeah. Uh, just use IM It's a GUI library. If you are making any GUI, it makes more sense just to use IM right? To have a GitHub repo. Yeah, once this code is a bit working, we have like at least a bit of editor kind of thing going on. I'll put it in the GitHub repo, and maybe we can have like some videos where I just summarize what I have done, right? So that you can follow along. Well, I don't think like there are much videos on YouTube right now that explain instance rendering or like SDF rendering, so on. I know one video like that explains SDF font rendering, but in a bit different way. There was a guy called Tiny Matrix or something like that. I like him quite a bit. He basically codes in Java, but that is a very his resources were like, when I was starting, they were very good for me, a beginner. Yeah, that being done, somewhere our data is getting corrupted, and we need to find it out. right? So one thing is that color data is not coming, whereas the other information are coming. But the color data is like, so if we just open the sprite, right? So it's in, I think, details. And as the time goes, I will, I mean, render utils, if I can spell things correctly. They say I am used for debugging apps. See, a UI library is a UI library. What you use it for is up to you, right? If you want to use it for debugging, you can use it for debugging. Like, for example, like if you're a very beginner, right? I would say that, and like you still want to like work with the rendering algorithms themselves, but not like you don't want to like go very deep and like submit your own buffers, manage stream buffers, blah blah blah. And, like if you want to like dive deep into it, you can do Vulkan and all those stuff. But from the top, right? You want a simple rendering. You can just use Relief. I think it's a very good starting point. You can just use Relief. It has very selected functions. It gives you a rendered text. You can just use that. Maybe if I were using Relief, I would not have faced these issues. But I will be doing like right now. It's like this. There will be a lot of things that I will be doing here. We will be doing a lot of scissoring stuff, and I'm going to create make this into a proper text editor. That is the goal, right? So at some point of time, I would like to have that fine grained control. Maybe my text, I want them to shine like rainbows or something like that. Just joking, but yeah. So that's why I'm using OpenGL. That is one reason. The second reason is that I don't want like full-fledged immediate mode GUI, right? Because when like things are done, things are working, I will start on like for example viewport cropping and all those stuff, right? So that I'm drawing only the things that are needed. I'm also like data, right? For now I have this submit, right? But most likely it will be a different. You will submit and then you will flash. You will submit and you will flash, right? You submit some layers and then you will flash that way. Which one? Yeah. So you can search for Relief. Relief is a good library. It's called Relief. Yeah, it is very simple. It does not give you everything, but it lets you draw sprites and it lets you draw like text. The only downside to Relief is that I don't think they have multiple window support that we are going to have, right? Yeah. Mm. If you're starting and you just want to get hooked into graphics using C or C++, I think Relief is a very good starting point for beginners. Yeah. Let's get back to the actual problem as to what the heck is happening. Let's change this name to something else. I don't think that is the issue, but I want to change it only because like I don't know, maybe like macro is not working or something like that. That is my assumption. Because I don't understand, like all other fields are working. This only this field has some vendetta against me. And offset of is the macro that we are using. So maybe it's picking up something else. Color is not like some kind of keyword. So all I want right now is this tint to be shown. That's all that I want. Right. In the text as well. You can pass that field. Right. So something like, yeah, we don't care about it. right? Rather, these can have default values. So for text, it is a bit like 0.9 f for all will be a good value, I think. Some kind of a white text, right? Once we have our color working, but there is another way, but I don't want to like use it right now because if this fails, if the data is not going correctly, then we will face many other problems later. That I want to avoid. So yeah, we're setting the rec, we're setting the crop, but we should also set the tint, right? So maybe write the tint.x and so on, right? So we're also setting the tint, right? We build with that and we use our own tint or text vanish, and we're trying to find out why like the tint is not coming, right? So we have error here. Okay, this is not color. This is not tint, right? So this is a macro, right? So might be this is causing the issue because like this is part is quite correct in my opinion because this data is coming correct. Okay, this data I have a bit of doubt that it is coming correct, but we are hoping that it is coming correct, right? And our vector is very simple, also. Not that fancy, and we don't have added anything yet. And we are using this macro, but all this macro is just 0.0f and 1.0f. So this should work fine in my assumption. So my where is this? This parameter is coming it's absolutely correct. This parameter is coming absolutely correct. This parameter is coming corrupted. Okay. This parameter, this print parameter is coming corrupted. Whereas here, if we see, right, where we are setting the layout, this is the rect, then this is the tint. Can I spot any error here? We're not normalizing, sending floats, we're sending four floats as tint, right? And we are setting that as a third attribute. Then in fourth attribute we have crop, and in the fifth attribute we have the data. Right? Where does it get those zeros? Right. These two are zero, but this is still one. Right. The data was not updating, but the data is updating. We are setting this thing right here. Hmm. So maybe I don't know, but just see we can use this attribute pack so that we know for sure that this is taking the amount of space that we are saying here, and C++ is not like adding anything that we don't want. Does that solve the issue? The question is that now. And no, it throws a lot of error, I guess. because we have put this twice. Even now it will be only once. And don't know. These are the things that sometimes bother me. And this is part of it. Like most of the time that is spent in software development goes into debugging stuff. Right? Alternatives like Pragma Pack, blah blah blah. If I want to have facts data, and you have byte alignment, right? So for that, this data, right? mm, We have packed, and then we have this aligned, right? Aligned X. Here we can say that this is aligned to something like 16, right? 4 times 4. So it's always 4 for each. So this struct itself is also packed, right? I guess. I don't know. We'll check that later. But let's just have that. And this will fail. This will cry a lot. Write undeclared identifier. Okay. Because maybe that is not the right syntax. Uh, and it's reading a lot of jargons. So right now, I know that like in fact these are 16-bit aligns, right? These are supposed to be 16-bit aligned. This is not some like super fancy thing. Even if we don't want to do that, this should be 16-bit aligned. So really, I don't understand like what is the issue here. Even when we are pushing the data, right? The size of data we are using is dynamic in nature, right? One good thing that I want to know, like from the beginning, is that what is the size of a sprite, let's say. So like for example, the size of sprite is perfectly 64 bytes because we have like 16 times 4, right? We have 4 times 4. So the size is correct. There is no like extra bits that is being introduced. That is for sure. This rendering 10 sprites, we can remove this. Right, maybe. So yeah, I'm still doing and trying to find out where we went wrong. Currently, I don't have the idea. Just like why it's referring to other parameters, but not this parameter. What is different between? about this guy? Nothing. Like this is correct. Let's just use version 440. This will no way fix the issue. At least in my experience, it shouldn't. Yeah. And we're not getting the tint. Right. And now let's make this factory. Does anyone have any idea as to where we are going wrong? Really, this guy is. I don't think like it's due to any of this or this frag UV. Hmm. I'm thinking of like going off screen and debugging the hell heck out of it is and get this fixed and then I can start streaming. Because like these kind of annoying problems they keep on appearing. This here some kind of alignment issues happening. Let's say if this is vec 4 also, right? It will not be happy until we do something like this. Frag UV equals to this. Um, which is a but why should frag be? Just for the sake of it, right? Let's put it this at the bottom, right? So we are essentially changing some kind of ordering at least of the data. Whereas assignment does not matter that much, but still. And then we have this data here. If there is some spelling mistake, we can also check for that, right? So if we search for flag print, right, we get all the flag prints, which is like the correct spelling. And also this is very small spelling, so there is not much scope of a mistake. Still, the data is not coming, right? For example, if I write this and if I build this now, right? The heck. So the fragment shader needs to be byte aligned also, maybe. Don't know. The color just came, right? For example, and this is like when you deal with a bit of low level, this is not completely low level, but a bit of low level. This kind of things you see. Like I was looking at byte alignment issue at some other place, but when passing from vertex shader to fragment shader, right? The byte alignment was getting messed up, right? Maybe I don't know, but even in that case, right? It was supposed to be white, right? The text itself. So yeah, let's see that. So source slash render Okay, for now, connect and then render utils, right? And in render utils, when we are passing the color right now is the RGB, and the value we have given is 0.9, 0.9, 0.9. So where the heck did it get the red only? And then the rest is white. So we're creating this text, right? This is kind of strange. Like, all I did was revert the order. Maybe we can export a struct and then import that struct to stay consistent. But you can check that later. Now we need to know where that red color is coming from, because clearly here we are saying that you are white, right? In that in. And in fact, in the status bar also, right? We are not specifying the color. We're just treating this white. In this case, it should be white, right? Because R is this, and then we are setting this values also, right? So RGB is setting here, this floats. So it should be white, not red. Somewhere we're doing some silly mistake that I can't spot. Hmm. It is just a silly mistake that we're doing. Just if we go, go to resources, right, and just use fragment now here. Let me build this. We once again get black screen. So our assumptions don't stand. And what about frag data? Like if we so let's just revert this back. We get this red color. But why are we getting red? Right? Why are we getting red? That is the question that I'm trying to find the answer. I can't find it right now. So this x value is coming as 1, and these values are coming as 0. In this frag tint, this instance tint, right? Which is this instance tint. It is coming as the input only, right? So this is not good, but I want to see the data I'm pushing, right? So maybe for each sprite here, like in the end pass, we might want to know what data we are giving actually. If the data creation itself is wrong, right? You can just check that. So for auto sprite belongs to the sprites. You can do something like this. Yeah, and I can build. And we'll get a lot of reports, right? But as you can see, the tint is correct. The crop is correct, obviously. Otherwise, we will not see those. And the data is also correct. So this itself is correct. This data that is being created, this is absolutely correct. The mess up is happening in the layout itself. But the layout itself looks correct to me at a glance. Alright. So yeah. Hmm. So these are the things that you deal with on a regular basis, where you try to get something and you get something else. But at least this thing is correct. The data that is being passed seems very correct. Later we might need this, so I will keep this here for now. So the data that being correct means only one thing, right? That this is wrong. So here we are binding the VO, right? And then I have VBO. We have created the data for VBO. Mhm. Then I have allocated the data for the sprites, right? Then we have bind the instance buffer object. So for VO, the last buffer that is bound is this one, right? And these attributes and then mapped. So these attributes should be mapped correctly. So the first one is the rec, right? The second one is the tint. So I'm interested like what the values are, right? So maybe we can print that. Let's check that offset of is not deceiving us, because like in this stream what I have faced a lot is that I assumed that this function was correct in multiple occasions and that function didn't work. So I'm not thinking that it's going to repeat once again, but don't know. It is the part of the process. Printf offset of rect is this, offset of tint is this, offset of crop is this, and offset of data is this. Right. We print this thing, right, somewhere. If it prints at all, why didn't it print? I don't know. Close this. It got printed. Minimize this. Uh, this. But you can minimize this. So this is somewhere here. Yeah. So yeah, welcome to the club. So you can see that these are like 16, 16, 16, right? This is correct as well. Right. So first one has no tried. Then this has four floats, 4 times 4, 16. Then 16 times 16 plus 16 is 32. And then plus 16 is 84. Right. Maybe 48. 1 second. Yeah, we have total 64. Then this plus 16 is 64. Right. This is correct only. This is correct only. Yet some data is not working correctly. I think I will like just do a bit of offline here debugging, find out what the issue is. But the clear issue that I think is this buffer layout is not working. But I don't understand. Like this buffer layout is very correct. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Got the issue. I think this should be 5. Right, 3, 4, 5. Why is this 3? Is this the issue? Is this the issue? Yeah. So yeah, I told you, na, the issue should be very, very, very simple. And we have wasted a lot of time doing that. But at least we got that issue fixed. Yeah. So now let's continue our journey from where we left. So let's in the UI, right? Let's uncomment this thing because Hopefully this is working now. And it will produce some terrible result, I think, right now, because we are not checking whether it's a sprite or thing. As you can see, like blah, 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 kind of thing. Yeah, but that thing we can get easily get rid of. And also we can have in our data a third parameter that I thought is very important, is z index. Yeah, so we'll work with that. But first, let's get that rect and that yeah going on. So source slash render resources, right? So here now we can have something like this. Int type, um, sprite height is equal to int this, right? And so and also in here, right? So that we don't get ourselves so that we don't get ourselves lost. I will just add a small offset, right? And I don't want to go into its like directly sending its. There is a reason. For some older graphics cards, I have observed that they don't really work well with int, right? How they should. But this should is essentially work correct, because I'm getting the floats and then I'm converting them to it. And then int, right? So then we can have this check that if this is 0, right? That means we are basically setting it to fragment tint and going away, because this is a rectangle, right? We can have this comment here. And for type 1, right? So yeah, text. So right now we don't need to check for type 1, but later we'll have like if sprite type is 0. And with just that, we should at least get the rectangle background correct, right? So this rectangle background is here, and then these sprites are here. But like these sprites should be on top of this, right? And that I think like the drawing order itself will fit, but a better way of that doing that is using a z index to clearly specify that okay, this is in front and this is behind, right? That's how normally people try to do it. So let's work with our z index, right? So here I'm thinking of using this instance data for the z index, right? And this instance data right now has two fields. The first field is the type, right? So instance data basically have a type followed by texture ID followed by z index. And then something like unused. For now, we'll use that later also. And in the color, in the tint also, we will push, we will squeeze things and insert. So yeah, with that, this basically is our z index, right? This thing. So here, this value should actually be what? This value should actually be uh, inst data dot z, right? Because the third parameter is the z index. So now we need to supply those z indexes, right? So we can go to render utils first, right? And we now have the z index, right? So text will always have a high z index. That is the idea. So we can define it here, right? For example, as define z index. We'll have some static z index, right? So z index 0, which is nothing but this 0.0f, right? Then let's say we have z index 1, right? We'll have a few z indexes, which is like 0.05, right? And for now, we also want to have z index text, right? Which will be used for text for now at least. which is like 0.1 or something like that. So we have these three Z indexes, right? So when you're drawing the year text, right? What we want is that sprite. The text ID is for 0 now, and also the Z index is Z index text, right? So if we just do that, because either way the Z index for the year is 0, and if we have that depth test enabled, right, then ideally it should appear like this. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's just reverse this. Because I think this side is positive, that side is negative. I always forget it, but that's fine. You can configure how you want, and I actually forgot how I configured it. Because I have a minus sign, it's better to wrap this like this, so that we don't have any issue. We don't know. Are we doing depth test? That is also a question. Yeah, we're doing depth test, and so due to the Z index, now we have this, right? So it should go in the negative direction. That it was here. And also we will fix the aspect ratio and everything. But I think that now that we have this panel rendered, right, we should go for a better color. Right. Yeah. And also the text position is seems a bit off, whereas this thing is correct. Right now we don't need to touch anywhere here, at least. Yeah. So let's go to yeah, our renderer and the clear color wherever we are setting, right, somewhere here, right. Let's make it something like this. How does this color look? Okay, so maybe a little bit less red. Mm, This is, let's say, 0.1 and this is 0.15. I want a bit dark purplish kind of vibe, something like this, right? Where we're rendering our text, right? And now our UI, right? So this guy we can fix it. First of all, I think that this XTX, right? It should be something like padding plus, let's say, point two. Right? Not TX but TY part itself. So Y plus we did padding, right? But I think we need a small offset here. So something like push the text a bit down. We'll get this fixed at some point, but just for right now to get things rolling, right? Because we have wasted a lot of time spent in doing like unnecessary stuff, right? So that's it. And we can also have this mm, yeah, when we fix that aspect ratio, these problems will go away. I can do that, but I don't want to do it right now. Okay. So this one is like 0.2. This is 0.3, I think. So it's a lighter shade of that thing, essentially. If we do that, right, okay, nothing happens. It's still coming as a red because somewhere we are hard coding it, right? So render utils. I think here we are hard coding it rather than RGBA. Just hard coded the values, right? But this should ideally be RGBA, right? This is R. This is. G, this is B, and this is A. Right. Mm, yeah, that looks nice. Actually, we don't have that much progress today, to be honest. But that's fine. There will come some days when we will just progress a lot. There are some days when we don't progress at all. And maybe I'll just want to add a bit of, yes. We'll have a I'll look into a color palette, a good color palette to get things done. But right now we have our status bar here, right? Which is very ugly, but it's better than not having anything. Right. Yeah. So this is one UI, right? The other UI item that is necessary is that like the text buffer itself, right? So you can have something like struct UI text buffer, right? So something like yeah, I don't want you to tell me those things. We're happy for you right now. We don't want anything. We are working on our next UI, and the UI that will take most of our time is our text editor part, right? So, we normally start with the UI, right? UI underscore status bar underscore T. So we can follow that convention for other members as well. You can say struct UI underscore text um edit, right? Underscore T, something like that, which is very, very, very wrong to my ears as well. But text edit buffer. Actually, this will not contain any buffer, like text edit panel, right? This looks nice, right? And the text edit panel, this will obviously have the height, right? So it will have the like for something like it's, or you can just have float x y, right? X y width and height, right? The panel will have that, right? And what else the panel needs? The panel needs the text it will render in that region, right? So maybe string text, right? In that region, the text it's going to render, and also it will have like a offset, right? So float let's say x offset and y offset, right? And I'll explain this to you a bit, and also float cursor. I can have this as the right, cursor position. So this is needed, right? Good. Yeah, I think I'm forgetting something, but I don't remember right now, so we'll do that later. So this is basically our text edit panel, right? And so we can go to our editor. So editor dot hpp is fine, and we can ask the editor to give us the edit panels as well, which will be vector, because we might have multiple edit panels. Right now we'll have one, but in future we might have multiple. So std vector of UI text edit panel, right? And we can call this get UI text edit panels, right? And I don't know what crap it has done, but right now we don't care. We will just return only one, the active one, right? So later we'll see like which splits are active right now. So which some of the edit panels will some of the edits, right? Some of this edit will not be active, and some of these edits will be active, right? So we can call this at text edit buffer, Because why not? And this can also be like text edit buffer. So we have like panel and buffer, right? So buffer is the source data basically from which the panel data is initialized, and in the panel we'll have a push method which will essentially initialize the actual sprites. So this is the way we will be going, right? Uh, I'm thinking for now we can change that later. I can use I could have used inheritance, but I don't want to use it because um, I know that I will have a lot of elements that I the real difference is that I don't want to like do a lot of cached rendering. I want to do a lot of on spot rendering. Um, and in that process, I might crop some data. I might like do like some region cropping of the data, but I'm not like building. I am going to call these functions again and again in some loops, and I don't want a generic function where every time I'm going to a v table to look up, right? That extra performance I don't want because like we have a lot of sprites, right? Hundreds of sprites which are being drawn in every frame, and like in a second we are essentially at least drawing 30 frames. That is my goal, right? And still leave some leeway for other performances like in future when we'll have LSP and these stuffs, right? So that's the goal. But it's very far away, so we can just ignore it for now. Right now what we want is our current edit, right? So we need this thing, right? Because this is what is going to give us the panel. Now we know that our panel, right? We'll modifying this. We'll be modifying this quite a lot, right? Alright. But right now we know that in the panel we can have a empty panel, right? So we can just say that if there is no buffer, then obviously you don't return any panel. That is correct. But if there is a buffer, right? In that case, you basically push this thing, right? So the or we can just templates back, right? Because I like templates back. I don't know why, but I like templates back because it saves me a copy. So I'm not like trying to write extremely optimal code, but at the same time I'm not trying to like leave every optimization for the future. So that's the way I'm going, and I'm going almost with no plan, no architecture design, blah blah blah. We're doing code first kind of approach. But things will converge at some point of time. That is my belief, right? Because they usually do. That's the like best thing about programming. Things usually converge at some point of time. You just have to say like we are having that silly issue and we could not figure it out. Then we figured it out and it was like, yay, we did it. So at this point our panels will have a panel, right? So our panels will have a panel and there is one extra n. I don't know what's the correct panel. And essentially this guy, right? This guy will store the line x and line y. So size the line x is 0, cursor x or cursor x and cursor y. So cursor x is 0, size d, cursor y is 0, right? And we can have some kind of zoom. So maybe float zoom is like 1.0 right now, right? So we have some kind of zoom, and I have the tendency to close things up. So let's do that. You can have editor. Um, it's already about to be 7, right? I'll just have the basic editor drawn, and then we'll call it a day. If it gets done in time in the next. 10 or 15 hours. So it's probably time that we pick up in speed, right? So we'll ignore these things for now. We'll ignore the zoom and everything. We'll start from that, but we'll just want to get the panel, right? So what data a panel has? That is the question, right? So let's set those data. So we have the panel, right? So panel.x is 0, panel.y is 0. I don't have any problem with that. Panel.width right now is 1. We don't have any problem that with that. But panel.height should be whatever the bar height minus this. So we can have this here. For example, uint 32 underscore 3 status bar height, right? And this is something like 0.05 for now. I'm not worried about. But when we have aspect ratio and we take the screen space, we'll have this thing sorted out. So yeah, and this is float, something like that. And then we can have this instead of doing this manually, we can say that okay, you are going to say status bar, right? And in the right text, we are not going to do this. We are going to do this here. Um, so we will have a string builder, but these things we'll do later. We are in a crunch of time, I guess. So yeah, the height will be not this, but like I think 1 point minus by 1.0 minus this, right? This is the panel height, and then our panel has the text. For now, our panel text is just the file content, right? And our panel header, right? So so in the panel, we'll also have the text, and we'll also have the title, which is a bit too much, in my opinion. But why are we using XTD string where we can just have like okay, let's do those kind of things later. Right now, let's get things out. Right. So by default, it will say that in title. But now that we have this file content, we can have panel.py, right? Like this. So we have this, and right now these other parameters we don't care about. So let's just write the push function. So void push sprites. You're calling this void, right? Yeah, void push sprites. You can actually copy this signature from here, right? That's why not. And the cool part is that we can have some kind of functional as well, where we can just define the function list if we need. Right now we don't need, so I don't care. But in future, so yeah, we have this push sprites, right? So let's do this. Like so, we'll have a top bar, which is a very small thing, right? So maybe we can have this right, for the top bar, like this whole thing, yeah, like this. Hmm, okay, we didn't copy for some reason. Let's just quickly copy this part. So in the top bar, it will just say that this is my name, right? I am this guy. So yeah, this thing, the x value is like the x is 0. So we'll have something like a like float title like something like that. And then we will start from x, and the y will be 0 here, right? So y will be just this. I'm not going to invert the y, and we are going to draw till this height, right? So we are going to draw till this title bar height, right? And this width, for now I don't want to have the full width. I want to have something like 0.3, but we'll change that later. Right now we don't have much time, so we're just going for this, right? And this is something like 1, so that we have some kind of gradient going on, right? Now we don't have any left text. What we have is the title, right? Right. I can call this title sprites as well. And title sprites are essentially drawn from the same point, right? So the tx, right? So the tx itself is going to be something like this is fine. It is just padding, right? X plus padding essentially. That we need to be careful about. Yeah. And TW I don't care right now. So yeah, TW let it be fine. This is font. This is TX where the text is starting, and the Y plus padding is a good place where the this is starting, right? But the text scale I want it to be a bit smaller. Although this text scale is not being used right now. So yeah, we will use that sometimes later. Right now we don't care. We have this title sprites, right? And we put this title sprites. So now in the renderer, right? The renderer itself, just like we have this status was submitted, you can have something like void submit, right? Which takes the edit panel exactly, and it slaps the sprites right into it. And so in the main, we can pass the status bar. But before that, we can also try to draw the panel, right? So we can say like renderer dot submit zeroth panel, right? The first panel I want to submit. And with that, if our luck is as bad as it used to have, we'll see nothing. No, we actually got something at place here, if you can see it, right? Yeah. So with that, I don't know if it got the X and Y and everything correct, but hoping that it has gotten everything correct. And this color I can brighten it a bit. So this is like 0.1. This is 0.35, so that you can clearly see, right? That we actually got something in the top bar. This thing, right? But here the text is not being written. That's one thing we need to check. But we can check that later. Right now, I'm assuming that it's blank. The text content, I think, isn't. So let's just do that. So next is this thing, right? So we have this height, right? And this height value is nothing but this height value. We can search for height, right? So yeah, we can search for height. So so y plus title bar height, that is right. And this height, where are you getting this height? That is my question. Because I don't. Cha, I got it. It's getting the height from yeah, I got it. It's getting the height from here, right? This height, and this height I am probably setting it, so I can rest assured. So this is the edit area, right? In the edit area, I want it to be a bit bluish so that I can at least visualize it right now, right? And then for the text sprites, right? I'll correct it, but let it populate first. So if we just have this auto-generated code, which probably sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, we are getting something like this. It's going on top of this, but you can fix this as we have already told. So in the submit itself, right? After submit, we want to render. That is the idea, right? And that is what we'll be focusing on. So yeah, in the renderer. So in the renderer, whenever we're drawing this thing, right? whenever we're drawing these things. We need to be sure. Yeah. So this end pass, right? And this end pass, we will not call this end pass, but we will we will have end pass, no doubt about it. But we'll have something like a flash um, void flash, right? And flash basically does the dirty job, right? So here in the begin itself, I can get the clear color and the shader program set, right? And in the flush, I can do the rest, right? So in the begin itself, I can get the like the things that are needs to be done with this part, right? Which needs to be there. I can have it here in the begin itself, something like this, right? And obviously after binding, we just show that we care about it, right? So this is the begin. Now every time we do this, right? After this, we will flush so that we can get to the screen. Here also will flush. Right. So you're flushing things out. Right. And in the flush itself, what we are doing is we are saying that okay, I am also yeah. So in the flush, we are essentially drawing. So this is the logic of flush, right? So it's nothing fancy, and also suddenly we get this, right? And this is, let's say, this call it bull, right? So only if we get a begin pass, right now this does not look like professional code, but after some time it will look like that. That I can assure you. Yeah. So in the flash, basically, we take our turn. We we flush all that junk we have, right? We flush all the junk we have. Okay. So inside the for loop, we flush all the junk we have. Maybe you can get it like this, so that it doesn't look that terrible. Here also, you can just get it into a new line. So in the for loop, we draw everything, and once that is done, we basically clear our like we clear our sprite batch. So basically, we do. I'm not sure that if we will go by this, but for now, right? So every time we submit, after submitting, we flash, right? And in the end pass, we do nothing. So ideally, this is the same, right? So end pass ends here. Who are you? Okay, so we had one ghost, right? But in the main, right? How would it look like then? So if we have something like this, if we are able to begin a pass, right? In that case, we'll render and we'll submit this UI, and then we'll get done with the rendering. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's essentially what you're doing. And if we just do that, okay, we have like two draw calls instead of one, but the result is still identical, right? Now what we can do is we can crop this region, which I actually wanted to do, right? So to crop that region, I know for the matter of fact that this UI that is given to me, right? Where is that guy? This UI that is given to me, not Flash. This UI that is given to me has the width and height and those things, right? So I can do something like GL enable, and we can enable for scissor test exactly. And so we can scissor. For now, we are doing this, right? So for now, we are just scissoring a part, but the next day when we get the like the aspect ratio and the width height thing properly propagated, will get that done, and that I will do tomorrow itself, right? So right now I don't bother about it, but as you can see, right here it's looking very normal, but when I zoom out, right, I only get a partial stream, right? So yeah, that's interesting. So what a Caesar is essentially doing is it's cutting away some unnecessary things, right? And we are doing this right now. What what I want to do is I want to just say 0 0 to, let's say, 600, and let's say 200. Problem is that right now our code base is a bit messed up, but we will get that fixed, right? 200. Just if I can get this correctly. No, we can check that later also. So it's not that problem, not that much of an issue, to be honest. Right. So somehow it's cropping this region, right? It should crop from the top because I'm seeing from 0 0. So no. GL enable GL scissor test I have done. So scissoring is just that only, like as far as I remember. Might be wrong, but let's see. So GL scissors, right? We look at the definition of GL scissors. GL scissor actually, but that's fine. It takes X, Y, width and height. Specify width height of the scissor. The GL context is first attached to window, and width height are set in a dimension of the window, right? So you do GL enable GL scissor buffer GL allows modification. Okay, without coordinates have window coordinates have integer values that shed corners of the frame buffer. At the shed corner of the frame buffer. GLC 0011 allows modification of only lower left pixel, doesn't allow modification of any pixel. Okay, so what do you mean by lower left? So you are basically saying that, okay, so you are basically saying that this 0 0 is lower left. This from here you are scissoring, right? So that is not good. So what is my Windows width and height? I want to know. Let's just get that printed quickly, because in it we get the width and height, right? You can just ask for it. Printf width and height of this, right? And we can build. And yeah, we get width 8,000 and height 6,000. 800 and 600, right? Which is absolutely not correct. Yeah, which is absolutely not correct. So in the resize, maybe we should print it. Maybe. So in the resize, let's go to render. Hmm. So let's go to render. And because like when you're creating a window, right, you have the title bar as well. So the title bar will take some amount of width and height. So maybe the resize is being called, and when the resize is being called, that you can have like printf current viewport is this, right? So with just that change, if we build this, right, we should get the current viewport, which is 8,000 with 6,000. But like I don't know like how I have set it. I can check that later. But right now, what I want to do is get this scissor working, and then we can call it a day for today. Right. So this scissor, right, is doing it from the bottom. That's what it's basically saying. Right. This is a where it so that is an yeah, renderer, right? So in this renderer, when you're doing this scissor, right? My thought was it was in like screen coordinate, but yeah, OpenGL always surprises you. So for example, the height, like for height, I want to use something like 800, because that's the height, minus whatever the height of the panel is, right? So for now, let's say 50 is the height, right? And it's starting from 50 to the scissoring operation, and the width is that's 600. Did we do 600 by 800? I don't know. Just check. Let's check. So in the main, right, our window is 800 width and 600 height. Okay, so we got it reversed, but that's fine. So we can go back to render, right? And basically our height is 600, we know, so we can just say that okay, this is 600, and right now we allow you completely to crop. X is 0, but Y just leave me 50 pixels. Okay, so that's what I'm basically trying to say here. And if we do that, can we get the status bar cleared? Yeah, we can get the status bar cleared. So maybe it's not that many pixels. It's just let's say 30 pixels or something like that. So next thing we might work on is getting that title up. Mm, yeah, but now if we see, we have some kind of a resemblance to a editor, right? Although if we zoom out, it's not working. We'll get all those things fixed. But right now we have some kind of resemblance to an editor, right? We have like how many characters are there, and we have the text. In the next stream, as like we might not have like a lot of progress today. The one thing we have established is the basic way of how we are going to define our different UIs, right? So let me make the colors a bit correct. So so that it looks good, and then we could call it a day. So the clear color, right, is I think it's fine to have like 0.01 here. Like clear color can be a very dark thing, like the 0.05, uh, 0.04, and this is 0.05, and this is like 0.05, something like that. Right. And then for the what is it called UI, right? For the top bar and yeah, we can use the same color, right here. So the this is UI panel, right? So the top bar can also be this top bar is this, and the bottom is 6. But instead of 6, this is 3.5, right? And this is 0.1, and this is like 0.12, for example. Right? So both have kind of similar color, right? So if we do that, and if we just try to print, right? Build it out, build it back. We have something like this, right? I don't know if you can see this, but here is this little top bar where our name will be, right? We're not like we're probably not loading it, but this bar is a bit small, so we'll have, and then we can have different tabs, right? We can click on those tabs, we can scroll on that tab. Next day we'll probably first start with making this a scroll view and have the tab ID and cross and everything, and have a basic keyboard input on this, right? We might have some line numbers as well, right? Here, this side. And yeah, then we can extend this status bar as well. We can have the folder view where this closes these things, and we can have multiple views. We can have some sizes which will keep track of the size and so on. So yeah, this is a nice progress. We have created a data oriented like creation of the view, right? and it's quite good. One more thing that I always forget, so I would like to do it, and like it's a small optimization, but I'd like to have that optimization right now rather than doing it later. Is that, and we are doing it in two batches, right? So you can see that the frame rate has dropped a bit, but still the frame rate is quite good. We don't care about that much right now. We can combine the flashing mechanism as we go on, right? Not necessarily that I need to flash like, all the time, but four or five draw calls for each big UI parts. For example, for the side panel one, the text panel one, and this the bottom line one. That is one, and maybe any pop-up that is coming on, maybe one. So at most we will have 10 or 12 draw calls. So it will be just fine. Right. So our render method is right now empty. We will keep this. We'll change it later. The optimization that I wanted to do is basically nothing but that. So GL enable, right? And we want to enable GL face, right? And yeah, we want to do back culling. So if you remember, we arranged this such in such a way that these are anti-clockwise, right? The rectangles are anti and the sprites are anti-clockwise. Taking benefit of that, we can not just like it will be same as this, right? And I don't know why this is in this monitor it shows 300 to 500, when I'm in the other monitor it's more than 1000, right? And I can take a screenshot to prove you, I think. So yeah, this monitor is a bit sucking. I don't know why. But if I look at the other monitor, right, I can show you this picture. See, this is the frame rate we are getting actually. This is the frame rate we are getting. Yeah, so it's quite good. We're still at a very good place. We're still drawing a bit of redundant text, but that will be sorted out in the next episode. So yeah, that's it for today. Hope you have enjoyed this live session. Although most of this live was wasted to just find out this one typo, this 5 was 3. That's it, and it messed up everything, right? And it took us more than 1 hour to just find that small typo and fix it. But that is the point of actual debugging and live code. So yeah, hope see you guys on the next day and have a nice weekend. And next day we will continue from here and we'll get things really spicy. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Two people are live still. Thank you. And like if you just keep on coming, it'll be good. And also like comment like how what I can do for so that you might be more interested in STEM. Right. So I'll at least try to like improve myself in those aspects. Right. But I'm still very new to like coding while explaining in front. Like even though there are not no people there, but I am a bit of introvert, so it's a bit of clue for me. You know what you mean. I'm still trying to improve. So yeah, I will keep on improving. But yeah, the bugs they're part of it, and the debugging is also part of it. So I'll not like fix any bug off stream unless it's absolutely necessary, and we will face them together because one of the main goals of doing this live things is that I want to have interaction with people, right? I want to be able to do things live rather than have some script and then go by that script, right? So it's also a improvement journey to me as well. Mm, Mostly that only. Because I don't know like if these are really helpful to you at all or not. But yeah, it's an improvement journey to me. And also like finally making me sit with writing my own code rather than just writing code for the company. which is not C++ at all. I so I think this is a good place where you can leave things. And thanks to everyone for coming. We'll get things on track and fast very quickly. Now that we have our basic rendering, and this is what we accomplished today, right? Which is not that good or bad. I'm not saying that, which is something, right? We have this panel art. Maybe we'll have add some rounded corners, and we can draw these things in a background texture, and we can then add some kind of a blur effect as well. So yeah, we'll get things very exciting and like very working very soon. The next episode, what we will focus on is fixing up this aspect ratio and getting the basic editing and saving working, right? And be able to like open one tab from the argv. So we'll just take the value from the argv and we'll open that tab. So that will be our immediate goal, right? On the next stream, to be able to edit, save, have the correct aspect ratio, and that's it. So yeah, that might be a bit small to you right now, but as we go on, it will be much more exciting. Hope you have enjoyed this session. If you enjoy, please hit a like, because that keeps me a bit motivated, right? And we'll have this aspect ratio and everything fixed. Right now, we have just implemented a basic scissoring of a hard coded 600 pixel width. But yeah, at some point of time, we'll have our nice text editor. Yeah. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks.